Hello everybody. In this video I'm going to discuss some of the variations that you can play during a blues progression. In a previous video I posted, I demonstrated a very simple basic blues progression, and if you take a look at that, it's specifically a 12-bar blues. You get a really good idea of how the chords shape up, and you can use that as a foundation for all. There's thousands of variations on this, because this progression has made its way into so many different styles of music in so many different decades, and all these different musicians have thrown in their own little twists and turns on it. But the one that I previously posted is just a really fundamental progression that we can all start with, and then once an understanding is, you get an understanding of that one, then all these variations make a little bit more sense, and then they're easier to attain, just by just laying that groundwork from that simple blues progression. In this example, I'll stay in C, just as the previous one, and just think it's a 12-bar blues. Each bar or measure right now has 4 beats in it, so I'm sticking with that. And in the previous video, I played the first 4 measures, and I stayed on the 1 chord, which in this example is C. So I stayed on the 1 chord. Another variation that you'll hear quite frequently is the second bar. A lot of tunes will go to the 4 chord. So in our example, we'll be in, staying in C. So the first measure, we play C, 3, 4, and then the next note is F, which is the 4 chord. So that's the second measure of the 12 bars. Third measure, C. Fourth measure, just like the previous one. Fifth measure is F. 2, 3, 4, staying on the 4 chord, which is F. Back to the 1, 2, 3. Eighth measure, C. 9. Ninth measure is G, which is a 5 chord. Now here's another variation, which is really common to hear, going from the 5 chord to the 4 chord. That's the 10th measure. 11th measure, back to C, 1. 12th measure, so you can stay on C, or a lot of times that last measure you'll hear songs go to the 5 chord. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start the drums, and I'm going to just play through that variation of the 12-bar blues by using root notes only. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 chord, up to the 4 chord, back to the 1, stay on 1, up to the 4, 4, which is F in this example. First chord, C, 1 chord. Now here we go, we're going to go to 5. Chord is F, 1 chord, back to the 5, and then back to the 1. So what I did, just root notes all the way through in the key of C, and that's a very common variation of the 12-bar blues. And again, very good practice to go through it and speed up the drums or practice it faster or slower in all different tempos. And now what we can start doing is adding more notes of the triad or the chord in the line, just depending on the style of which it's played. If you're playing it a rock and roll style, you can add a rock and roll bass line or a blues bass line, Latin or funk. And even though it's a 12-bar blues, like I explained previously, it doesn't necessarily, that's not specific to the style. It's just, that's where it gets its name. That's where it evolved from the blues style of music. But then it's like I said before all these musicians have taken their own take on it and made it their own. This time I'll go through and I'll play root and fifth on each of the chords. 3, C. 4 chord, F. 1, which is C and G. 4 chord, F and C. Back to the 1 chord, C. Up to the 5 chord. Down to the 4 chord. 1 chord. Ending with the 5 chord, which is G. And then the form starts repeating right there. So that was going around the 12 bars. Okay, so we've done root and fifth. And the next step would be to add the third in there. So just kind of so you will have the knowledge to play whatever is needed in any situation that you find yourself in. So I'll do triad notes on this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. C, E, G, F, A, C, which is a 4 chord. C, 4 chord, C, G, 5 chord is G, B, D, F, A, C, back to the 1 chord, 5 chord, and then the 1. Again, just a way to practice and memorize the numbers of the chords and which notes are contained within each chord. So this time I'm going to do a pseudo walking line, meaning I'm going to attempt to play quarter notes on every beat, and then I'm going to outline the triads only on each of the chords. Now I'm going to go up and down, and I'm going to play some higher and lower notes. But for example, for the C chords, the 1 chords, I'm going to stick strictly with C, E, and G. For F, I'll stick strictly with F, A, C for the 4 chord, and then the 5 chord, G, in this example, G, B, D. And I'll try to just kind of walk around and do a little bit of a different type of line, and I'm going to slow it down just a little bit. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 chord. 1. 4 chord. 1 chord. 5 chord. 4 chord. 1. 5. 1. And what I did that time is on the first beat of every measure, I was hitting the root note of that chord. And so that's a really good way as a bass player to start thinking about the tune. Just that's our role, is to establish the root of the chord and play that bass note in which the harmonies and melodies can be built from, and then just outlining chords. So these are just some very, very basic ways to get started playing the blues, and it's a good step after learning some scales and triads and things like that, and then you can really start applying them. And this is a really neat step to take, I believe, into start really learning some cool bass lines and some really practical ways to play. And in addition to this, obviously go and listen to all the recordings of all kinds of different blues artists and listen to what those guys are doing or girls, and figure it out and emulate that, and then you can really see how other people walk through basic lines, and sometimes they can just make it sound so cool. So hopefully that helps out. So it's just a variation on the blues, and I will be posting some more videos and finding some tunes that we can play and that are very, very good examples of blues tunes that aren't too difficult, and you can grasp them and have fun with them. So have fun with that, and until next time.